So you studied here in Wageningen?
Yes, yeah. I did a master in organic agriculture.
Okay, no, cool.
Yeah, more. And before I studied a little bit in Dronten. It's another city in the polder. It's a part of the land that was reclaimed. And 6 months there for the bachelor.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I stayed here afterwards. I went back to France a little bit to work, and but I have a Dutch partner, so we decided to come back here, and I started the company in 2017. Here at the Hole on it. Yeah.
Cool. And well, because I guess we're in the interview now. What would you like? How would you place what your company tried to do in the context of cheese production, the dominant way of doing cheese production, perhaps? Like, what are the differences between how you would produce cheese compared to how cheese is produced normally?
Well, I think the first difference is that I have a French background, so this has quite an influence on the way I see food production in general.
Okay.
The main difference, I think, it's because I started very small scale, and actually I never had the ambition to go very big, because it was a way to also keep the quality a bit stable, and just have time also to develop. And most of the cheese making companies here, they really focus on the Gouda, the typical Dutch cheese. And it's quite difficult to enter the market, especially as a foreigner. So if you want to produce cheese, you better offer something that is a little bit different. But not too different, because then you have really a niche market, and that can be really small. So I started to play a little bit with what I knew already at the time. And over the years, I also I changed a little bit trajectory based on the feedback of the customers. So that's what I did during 3 years. So the main difference is that different cheese, small scale, raw milk, and there are people making raw milk cheese here, but it's really little if you compare to the whole industry. And also, especially with soft cheese, the rules are very strict and quite heavy compared to France. Although it's a bit strange, because I would have expected the European Union to have something actually common to everybody, but it's still up to each state to decide how strong they want to be. And that's really a cultural difference between France and here, because in France, most of the farmers actually, they process raw milk cheese. And there it's known, it's assumed actually that this is how it's supposed to be. So there are still controls, of course, and safety regulations, but it's less, how do I say that? They are not obsessed, because they know actually that with pasteurized milk you can also have safety issues. So anyway, so here it's very complicated if you want to make raw milk cheese, soft cheese. But I still did, started like this because this is what I knew the best. So that's the main difference. Soft cheese, French, small scale, raw milk.
And the characteristics of the production, the big production systems of cheese, are they geared towards local markets or export? And
if you have an industrial system, no, it's mainly for export. Or to work with big actors like supermarkets and wholesales. But no, direct selling is not interesting for when you have a big scale company. It costs too much time. In general.
Yeah. I mean, and do you think that leaves perhaps local communities a little more vulnerable to crisis, for example, of the cheese?
To food crisis, you mean, or local communities? Well, here it's hard to get a sense of what is a local community, to be honest, because the whole food system is so not local. So you have, of course, local products, what they call the streek product here, but it's not really products that a lot of people will consume on a daily basis, except the dairies and eggs and like the basic products. Because people just develop habits to actually consume food that comes from somewhere else. If you think about all the fruits and also a lot of pre-made stuff. So I don't know if you could talk about vulnerability. I think if the whole industrial system here face a big crisis, like much bigger than the one we're already facing now, probably will have a big problem. But it's really hard to know because we are also dependent from each other in Europe and also beyond. But I don't know to which extent actually this community are sensitive on it. But I guess if you would have to one day to another just eat and consume locally, that's going to be a challenge. Yeah.
Okay. And would you say maybe that this like global connected food system might have contributed to the spread of the virus or even created the virus?
Then you get into a conspiration thing. No clue. I guess it's what I read. Yes, that it's mainly because we have a globalization and that also that viruses are able to travel so fast.
And how was your work affected by the coronavirus?
For me I can give you a half answer because I had actually already decided to stop almost when the corona happened. So it's not like this really collapsed everything, but it was more a way to say, actually there is no hope in the coming months anyway to go further. So because also my product it was more oriented for direct selling, so easier on markets or with HoReCas and restaurants and a few cheese specialist shops. So most of them they were affected by the crisis and they didn't order much for at least 2 months. And now it's gradually increasing a little bit, but still not back to normal. So to say. So I think for companies like mine who rely on this type of clients, it's you have to find something else if you want to survive, or change your clients, so to say, the type of client you're going to approach, which means that you might have to change your whole model actually. So it depends how flexible you are, I guess, and if you have savings to keep on going in the meantime. So that's also the vulnerability of this type of companies, because we don't have a big output. So it means our buffer is also quite little if we have shocks. So it's something I knew, but I thought, okay, because Corona, you cannot plan Corona, right? It just happened. So I had other things in mind I knew could go wrong, but Corona, I had no clue. So I don't know if I answered your question.
I mean, a little. I mean, So I mean, what were the biggest struggles for you then? I guess as a small business trying to make local cheese.
It was to keep my product constant, because working with raw milk, you work with a living product, and you have quite a variation in your milk content. So it means almost every time you make cheese, you get a cheese that is a little bit different. It's something that we are used to in France, but here it's a bit different. So to meet with the requirements of the client, so to say, you really try to keep it the same. That was the biggest struggle for me. And all the safety regulations, it's really not helping to start small. So this is also one of the decisions. It was part of the decision to stop, because you have to invest so much in testing and control protocols, and it costs so much time and money as well, that at the end, if you want to stay small, all the money you make, you just spend it in just costs, just to keep your business running.
Like testing your cheese
Yeah,
to see if it's healthy.
like it was I don't know how for 100 euros per month of test. So 100 is not much, but it's just accumulating with other costs. You also have more control from the COKZ, which is a safety agency here. So if you do a bit different and you do a bit small, that's going to cost you more. So you need to find a balance between the size and your output. And in my case, it meant that I had also to change my business model, and which meant also investing more, quite a lot. And it's not what I wanted. So.
Okay. But what do you see the value is of what you had here, like in terms of how important was this, at least for you, or?
Well, for me, I see value for me, for the people, and let's say for the place itself. For me, it's I know that what I make contributes my own well-being, but it's also contributing to others. So that this I like. I know exactly to whom it's going, so it stays local. Like it never went more than 100 kilometers further than here. So also, if you think about the environmental impact, I was pretty happy about it, and it's nice. I mean, it's a good product. It has taste, it has a history, and I know it's healthy. So that was really the value for myself and for the people here. Well, I can tell you what I've heard, but yeah, people first are happy that there is something in Houda in the neighborhood, and they are happy. Also, some of them were very happy with the variation, because then you get a different experience also with the cheese. It's really different if you taste something that is produced in the winter or in the summer. So they like that, and the fact that also I don't use coating for the cheese. I don't know if you know what it is. Coating. It's
the harder part around the cheese.
Yeah, so it's not a natural crust with the Houda. They use a kind of it's plastic. So, this is waste. And I was just having a natural crust. So also it was nice for the clients to tell, there is no waste. You can just
eat it all.
Right?
Super.
And also, if you look around, this is you don't know this farm, but they use a local breed actually. There's really few left in the Netherlands. The Black Koop. This is what you see here on the picture. Yeah, and they are native from this land. They are really adapted for this type of conditions, so they can really make good use of land, even if you don't have a lot of energy. While most of the Holstein cows, they are really like athletes, high, really big sportive. So you have to feed them with really, really high energy concentrate to keep them running. And it's it costs a lot of money, and it's also coming from the end of the world. So, but here not. So they mostly eat what they find around, and it's a very simple diet. So it's also a farm that has a low environmental impact, and it's organic. So it's also that was also one of the big added value for me, that I know, or I feel at least, that this is a place that is trying to be part of the solution. Rather than this, they are trying to adapt to the place where they are, rather than trying to adapt the whole environment to their own objective.
Okay.
So.
And how, what if you're talking about the solution, or this farm is trying to be part of the solution, what for you is your vision of what the food system should be like?
Ideally, I don't think we should be all or very globalized or very local, but you should have space for everything. And at the moment, there's too little space for this type of farms that try to just use the resources, and also provide something that stays around. So ideally, there should be more little farms like this, a bit diversified, and also with different services. Not only the fruit production. Here they also do the zorgboerderies. So they are I'm losing my English. They are caring it's a care farm.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they are caring for people who otherwise wouldn't have a place to be. They are also having a lot of educational activities and welcoming groups. So you see, they have a lot of services. If you make this type of farm disappear, it's not only the job of the farmers that you take away; it's a whole community that actually doesn't have a place to be.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, this is this type of project that I think has a really value in the territory.
Okay.
Definitely, and you should have a lot of these small farms. Like for one big farm, how many small could you have that would provide such a diversity of services?
Mm.
I don't know, but I think that would be quite interesting to look at.
And how do you think you could get there? Like if we look at where we are now, how do you think we could get to that type of system?
I've been as this question I've asked myself already for many years, and I think, well, alone you can't do much. You can, but you really need the support of a group.
Mm.
So it has to come from the people, from what we call the consumers. But I prefer to talk about the citizens. And if you need to have the support of the people on the place where you live that can promote this kind of projects.
Mm.
So I know it happens already in other countries in Europe where it's much more active and stronger and also more everywhere, so to say. But here, well, I'm not Dutch, so I cannot really tell you exactly what is the Dutch culture because I have been there only for a few years. But I see that it's more complicated. Like people are there. You have the city and you have the countryside, and in between. Now it gets better since like recently, but still there's a huge gap.
Mm.
But yeah, you need the people of the city to support you if you want to start a project that will actually impact them directly.
Yeah. So would you say there's like a need for like a movement, or
There's a need for a link.
For a link.
That's my first feeling. Yeah, and also for the farmers to feel they are not alone, because they are the one taking most of the risks.
Mm.
So even if I have the money, the land, the knowledge, there's still a lot of risks. And like if I am a farmer, I want to feel that I'm not alone. That there are also someone behind, to behind my back, so to say. And there are farmers here around who actually found this group of people. So I don't know if you have heard for example, about the New Ronde.
Yeah.
Well, it's this kind of community-supported agriculture. That's exactly what it means. You are supported by a community, small or big, but yeah. And this is why it works.
Yeah.
Partly you have also Veld en Beek that is based on this. It's a kind of association. And actually the farm belongs to the people, officially, not to the farmer. So, and these are striking examples of successful farms with multiple services. So yeah, I think you need people. If you want to, you need to have also political support.
Yeah.
And so this is to decide state by state. But yeah, alone you can't. I don't think you could go any further than this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you were a MOA student, no? So there's like agroecology is this term, right? A lot of people talk about it as a movement as well. But would you feel like you have seen that here, actually doing something which many would consider perhaps like agroecological, making local cheeses from local breeds of cows? Like, would you say there's a movement of support, knowledge sharing in between farmers in this community to like work towards a future food system that's better for the world?
I think there is, but I don't know enough. I think you should ask Flo. She's much more involved in this kind of network. There is at the student level. You have Boerengroep, otherwise this kind of organization that tries to support this type of knowledge sharing thing. But further than this, I don't know.
Okay. And has the corona crisis maybe changed the way you think about the food of the future, or influenced what you think the future of food should be like?
No.
No.
No, it has actually. I'm even more sure with what I
Okay.
sold and fed before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe for the consumer it could change how they think about the food system, and therefore like more people will want local food because of?
If I am optimistic, yes.
Okay.
Because I've seen also that during the crisis, there were a bit more people going to local products and to farmers. But very fast. Sorry, they go back to their normal habits. I mean, it's very human. We all have habits, and it's very comfortable to keep going like this. So sometimes I wake up, I'm optimistic, and the day after I'm very pessimistic, and I don't believe much in it. No, I think it's a matter of faith. It's a bit religious, but do you believe in people? Do you believe in change? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Yeah. So yeah, no, I really hope, and I do what I can at my own very small scale to contribute to what I believe should be the way to go. But yeah, I'm only one little drop in the question.
Yeah. But would you have, I guess you said the consumer, now, a theory of like how things can change, or what brings about change in a system? Or?
I think shocks.
Shocks.
Small or big, but so that's a shock, right? Corona can lead you to a positive change, or can lead you to fear, and then you actually don't do anything because you're too scared. I've seen also sometimes some change emerging without a big crisis. It takes time. It takes years, takes generation probably. So yeah, time and shocks maybe together, combined together. Yeah.
And do you think there are more shocks coming maybe, because?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but and I don't mean I want another crisis.
Yeah.
But I don't see another way to make us more aware about what's happening.
What do you think those shocks are that are coming?
Well, now we are facing a sanitary crisis, but later on there will be an economic one. We don't know exactly how big, but it's pretty sure that it's going to be also worldwide. So how is this going to impact, the whole state? Because we probably won't have the same funding that we used to have. So there will be an economic crisis, which will probably lead to a social crisis, because some people are going to be more impacted than others. And it will maybe lead to another type of crisis, I don't know. So we are just at the beginning, I have the feeling. We're just realizing what's coming. I have no clue, but for sure it's not finished. Yeah, and I hope this will be an incentive to realize, not only on an individual basis, but much bigger at a state level, that it's over, man. We can't go on. It's otherwise we. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be war or whatever, but it's gonna be a mess. So at least let's use this mess to reorganize the fundamental, because this is the whole base that is rotten. I hope.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But I have no scientific background behind that. This is just all feelings and based on what I've heard and read. So
that's fine. I mean, for me, to be honest, I don't think science does much.
Well, you have a lot of people doing modeling, for example, and they include all these variables together to actually get an idea of what the potential scenarios are. And this is very interesting to look at. I don't understand it, but with my partner, he does this, and it's really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think if you can combine what you feel, because intuition is also very strongly affecting all of us. What you feel, what you read, and what you understand, then you can already get a good overview of where we are going towards.
Okay.
I hope.
Yeah, let's hope.
Well, here you have the Dutch environment is really special. It's I think it's a country where the price of the land is the most expensive in the world. So actually, if you get an hectare of land, you have to get most of it, just because it's so expensive. So I think farmers have already such a financial pressure that there is not much flexibility to actually. There is to look at your land, and at some point you have to, because you just if you want to keep on going, you need to have a land that is a little bit healthy at least. But yeah, it's such an intensive system because of this pressure on the land that I think farmers have very little space to consider the need of the land. Except the one that are using only a small, like vegetable farmers, for example. They have usually not more than 1 or 2 hectares of land, and then actually they have the time and the possibility to really do precise agriculture, so to say, and to really look at each plot. Okay, what do I need to do here? And especially the ones that are organic, they don't have the choice. But if you know that you're supported by the EU to have a lot of inputs, fertilizers, and to have just potatoes and a few other crops, I mean, you are mostly driven by financial incentives, I think, and by the regulation that comes from the consumer needs. But yeah, I think the land comes a bit later, unfortunately. But it's because it's so specific to this area. And I can imagine in Puerto Rico or in other countries where it's, you can allow yourself to be a bit more relaxed. There, probably people can take the time to look at what they want and what they need on their own farm. And I look also back in France. This is what most people do. They want to have a little bit of terrain. Like, people won't be so efficient in France as we are here, because they have the choice, and because they also see, okay, I don't get 100% of my land. Maybe I get only 60%, but I know that I leave space for nature, and it actually doesn't cost me so much energy, and I have a buffer. So, tranquilo. Yeah. Okay. But this is a luxury situation. Here you don't have this luxury. You just get every square meter. You need to get something out of it. Yeah.
But for you personally, right? Like, at least as I imagine it, you were making cheese as you think cheese should be made.
Yeah, it's very ideological. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Continue. Yeah.
And it didn't work out, sadly.
No, because my ideal and the reality, they were too far away from each other. And because what I used to make cheese in a French context, which is very different from what we have here. So I still decided to try, and it was successful in a certain way, because I still could make a very good product. So that's already nice. But yeah, the whole context didn't make it possible to go further the way I wanted. But if I had changed, if I was willing to invest more and to grow a little bit bigger, maybe, who knows? But what was the question again?
Yeah, I mean, just there, no? Like, you had a kind of disconnect of what you wanted to do, and then what, I guess, the system allowed you to do, because you had to spend 400 every month on testing, which then...
Yeah, no, that's a small cost, but it was just an example. That there are other things. Yeah, so basically, I think for this type of project, you need to know what really matters for you as an entrepreneur, and then what's feasible, basically. And of course, every time you start a project, you go with your whole soul and energy, and you really want to dedicate yourself to it, but you have to make a lot of compromises along the way. But you need to know, okay, how much compromise am I willing to go for?
Okay.
And with this, I guess you only learn on the way.
And okay, I'd say a final question maybe. Would you consider yourself, as you said, an entrepreneur or a cheese producer, or both, or something else?
Depends on the day. Yeah, it's both, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Entrepreneur, yeah, what does it mean, entrepreneur?
I don't know, you're French.
Yeah,
you would know what it means more than me.
No, it's also a term that they use here a lot.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneur, it comes from entreprendre. So you take the lead basically to do something. So I think as long as you feel that you are the one taking the decision, yeah, you're an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Klaas from the Neue Ronde, because I interviewed him, he said too many farmers think of themselves as entrepreneurs and not as farmers.
Yeah, but I think it's because of this financial drive that I was mentioning. Because sometimes you don't have much space actually to feel farmer. Now, I really feel cheesemaker when I'm actually working for someone. And I know I have only to care with the cheese, and the rest is not my problem. And there you can really fully flow with the milk. And you sing cheese, you are the cheese, and then you really feel, okay, I am a cheesemaker and nothing else.
And now you're working as a cheesemaker now in Arnhem. So, and is it a big change the way things are done there compared to here?
But it's I'm very lucky because it's still a farm where they make a cheese that looks like French cheese, so and raw milk cheese. So that's great. And I'm also working with a woman who is really, she has quite a similar vision. So in that way, it's a great match. Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. No, she's really a shining example of actually showing that it's possible. It's possible to be and a farmer and an entrepreneur at the same time.
Ah, super.
And yeah, so it's possible. Yeah. So if you have the possibility to talk with this kind of person, that's I think that's a great added value to your work.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really really nice farm. And they are all part of these people of this network. Wageningen et Duurzaam.
Yeah.
They probably mentioned it to you.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've also mentioned, I think, more the focus is more on like economics or like, you know, trying to find consumers or trying to find the niche, you know, and less on, you know, the more kind of social movement of it or like sharing together as a group. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's a young network, so indeed now it's more based on being known and reaching people. Probably the social aspect will also come, but yeah, I think it's a development process. So you start step by step. Yeah, but I see a lot of potential in it. No, but I think also for the people who are willing to support local initiatives like this kind of network is very important because they do the work that the entrepreneur or colleague, however you want, but they do the work that we don't have time to do. The whole marketing and aspect, it takes so much time. But, so they are really making this is a missing link that I was mentioning before between the producer and the people. So maybe if we can multiply this kind of our network, then you have a great map of little antennas all over the country. Yeah, in Utrecht also they have a very nice one, local food cell Utrecht, and they have also this kind of initiative.
Cool.
Yeah. So there's hope.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end.